make you die. He wasn't all-powerful then.
Yeah.
Now suppose the other thing happened. You actually died and didn't live for 100 years. So that means the second God was all-powerful and the first God failed miserably to make you live for 100 years more. You cannot have two gods which are all-powerful. You cannot have that. Because if you died, that means that God was powerful.
It's more magic, like
it's not
creating
magic.
trees. I see that as power, making planets.
But when we say someone is all-powerful, had all the power, and they could not actually exercise that power, then they were not all-powerful.
But is it possible that there's another God or another being out there that's got as much power to create like planets and do all the miracles that God could probably do, everything that He's meant to have? That's what I got the impression.
Such a being would not exist. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, is there
That's what I'm
another
saying.
one, or is there many of them?
There cannot
might
be
10 of them,
No, there
and they're
cannot
called the
be.
gods and goddesses
Alexis,
in the British Museum.
Listen, there cannot be. Because these
What
things...
about in the British Museum? They talk about Aries, Apollo, Venus.
These talks about people's
powerful.
beliefs.
And they got statues of them.
Yeah.
So
but what they talk about, from what we understand, is this. These were gods: Apollo, Isis, Osiris, Diana, Venus, and so on. These are people's belief about gods. They fought with each other, they killed each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't reflect this is almighty or
That's probably what
all-powerful
they're
God.
like. So they got to the powerfulness and then they have a punch up with each other.
If you're all-powerful, you don't get defeated.
And they're still alive. They haven't died.
No.
They're
In
still
the Greek,
walking on. I believe they're still walking on now. I think they really are. And the thing is, when you hit to that level where you got all these magical abilities and you could do all these, like, do things to the moon, I mean, God, they might be hooligans, them lot, just beating each other up, building armies. I heard the stories.
but if you look at it, you cannot have more than one all-powerful being.
How do that? But
The
why not?
example I gave you, suppose even there were two, let alone hundreds.
Yeah, but if you do have two powerful gods driving one car with two steering wheels,
Which
they will both have to talk that, you know what, you're going to crash. So if they ain't got the common sense to understand that and they crash the car, then
So
they're
they
too
compromise.
stupid. Yeah, they have to compromise.
That means they're not all-powerful and sovereign.
I don't know,
Not
they're
almighty.
really silly to crash the car.
No. So what you're telling me is,
We know the car will crash. So God's got a bigger brain than us to know that. He would definitely know that.
what you're saying is,
And they would definitely know.
what you're
If we can
telling,
figure it out, then them two will
Alexis,
definitely figure it out.
the God that you're describing
Yeah.
are God who had to compromise. So he's not all powerful anymore.
The God I believe is the most powerful gods.
No.
Or God has
I'm not
got a
saying
lot
what
of
you
magic
believe.
powers.
The
Huge
example-
amount of powers. That's the powerful one. And he's so powerful that if everyone went to take him on, he could defend himself and use his abilities to like destroy the whole universe.
Let's take
what
examples
I
slowly,
believe.
right? I know what
That's what
I understand what you believe, but let's
He
take
could
this
defend
example.
himself against the whole universe as one God. And that's what I believe is the most powerful God in the universe.
Let's take this example so we understand it properly. When you have two all-powerful gods, if they compromise, then they're actually doing what? They're not being all-powerful. They are not independent. Do you understand?
That is being powerful.
No, that's not being powerful. If I'm saying, okay, I'll listen to you. That means
I see power as magic and being able to create universes and do illusional tricks and make things real.
Can I quickly answer this, right?
Yeah.
And then come back to you. You carry on. Please, carry on. So about why there cannot be more than one absolute creator. I'll come up, it's a call from home after I'm through.
Another thing you got to realise is just because people believe in a certain thing, they have this opinion that this is what we believe. Does that make it right? So you give an example of the Greeks, was it? You were talking about?
Greek gods, yeah.
Okay, so they have this ideology, this theology, that there's many gods, there's Zeus, Hades, so on and so forth. But does that make it right?
Well, I kind of like look up to them.
So then if I can look at the tree and say, this is my God,
Well, probably in some
maybe 100,
places.
200 years down the line, someone will say, well, that is a God because I said so. Does that make it right?
But they built these gods are stories. It's like the Quran Bible is a stories, I guess, or it's written, so it is kind of like a story.
What the Quran tells you to do, which other books not, is it tells you to use your God-given intellect.
But I think I haven't read too much of the Greek gods, but they're there in the statues.
Yeah, well, people tend to say
they're the ones I believe are with God. They know Him. I believe they've met.
Well, that's a belief. That's a belief, and everyone's entitled to the belief. Now, everyone's entitled to the belief, which is absolutely fine, but it doesn't make it right. What we're trying to say is, does it sound logical? Does it sound rational? Absolutely. I can say that He is God.
It's stories. It's religious stories. It's still RE.
I can say that she is God. I have a right to my opinion. Whether I'm right or wrong is totally different.
If you get followers of believers.
This is why you have to use it. This is why God says, will you not reason? Will you not ponder? Will you not think? That, you know, that the one who's created everything, yeah, how can you make a statue of your own hands and say this is the one who created everything when you created yourself? So that's where it comes back to. They need to reason, you need to ponder, and when you say that there could be more than one God, well, it doesn't logically make sense. And it doesn't. Because if a God, there's a God, He's absolute, He's the owner of all power. Yeah? Whatever He decrees is going to happen, there can be nothing that can stop Him. Right? But then if you have two gods, like the example Brother Mansoor was giving.
I don't think so. Reading the Quran is going to solve my problem of answering my questions. It will educate me, yeah, but it's not going to be different to the Christian Bible that I'm still left with questions. So even though I'm a Christian, and believe in God and the Greek gods, it's not going to answer. I don't think so. It's got the.
Sorry, you said you believe in the Greek gods.
Yeah, as well.
Oh, you do.
Which Christianity probably frowns upon. Okay. So a lot of Christians will. I actually said it already. They're kind of. What would you mean?
So where do the Greek gods fit in with the? Do you believe in the Trinity? I'm assuming as well.
A bit about Christianity.
You said you're a Christian.
I am a Christian.
So what's your concept of God?
But I believe in Jesus Christ. Yeah, that He existed. I acknowledge Him, and that much. But I'm not I only read 30% of the Bible, so I'm not. I mean, that's why I'm a bit open-minded with a lot of things. And I'm asking questions. So the Bible, Christian Bible, hasn't answered my question 100%. Even the Christian Bible. So even though I'm a Christian, I'm still left with questions. So it hasn't answered it. But the nearest thing that's answering the question, well, it's still not answering the question, which is the British Museum of Greek gods.
Yeah, but what you got to remember is when you have questions, the only one who can answer is the one who's put the authority.
That's what I would like.
Absolutely, because that's what Brother was talking about. If you go off what people say, if you go off what people say, sorry, everyone has their opinion and have their belief. Don't make it right.
That probably know or met him. You know, that would be great.
In the British Museum, what do these evidences or artifacts tell us?
That there were some super human beings that those super movies, Ford, God of Thunder.
That's not what they tell us. They tell us that there are groups of people in earlier times.
They had these structures that could bolt lightning out of them and make the clouds black, like Thor's hammer.
These
that's
sculptures, they don't have those magics. That's in the movies.
They built statues of them. Yeah,
no.
That's them, the Greek gods. That's the stories.
No,
that was Bibles.
What we have,
and they would go to war, and they would put out a sword or a big hammer, and there'd be lightning strikes in the sky.
Those artifacts.
That's like religion down there.
Yeah, those idols people have crafted by their own hands. Let me understand this point from what you understand. Okay? If you were to take those artifacts, these idols, if you ask those idols, go and do these miracles, would they be able to do it?
Yeah. Not the statues, but if you met the person, if you meet Thor, or you meet
let's be rational. Let's be rational.
Yeah,
when you meet that person,
Alexis, from the British Museum, if we took this...
He's a unique person.
No. The idol he's talking about, and you said if you meet the person, can you meet that person?
Well, we have, because Earth has met them. We've never got any statues of God or any meeting with God. Well, there is is parts where God has come to earth. He does with Adam and Eve.
But you got to be rational. Look, you gave an example of Krishna.
But
Krishna apparently lived. We have some records where how historical are we don't know of what he did. Yeah.
Do you believe in all the stories that were around?
I believe in India there was a bloke called Krishna.
Do you believe in every single stories, in every single storybooks and religious books?
A lot of it, yeah.
Okay. Based on what evidence? What is the evidence that, for
A lot
example,
of belief, because the earth is big and it was happening in different parts of the earth. So everything wasn't just happening here in London.
what are the evidences for these beliefs? For example,
I don't know, because I've only been here for 30 years.
So the belief, your belief is not really based on evidence.
And the British Museum and just what you see on TV, that's
Alexis,
just...
let me ask you a very simple question. Say we take an idol, right? A particular god of the Greeks. There are stories around this idol, this god, the sculpture, right? That this god did striking thunder, like an electricity and this. When you now take this idol, you ask that idol to do that, would that do it?
What, a statue? Yeah, but he built the statue himself. That statue's old, it's when he was here. So it's like taking a picture of yourself when there was no camera, so you just strike the pose.
When you said he built it,
yeah.
did you watch that? He built it?
They built it, so he had it built.
He had it built.
Someone take a picture.
So you took
he's pretty vague. He said, I'm so powerful, I built a statue of myself and strike a pose.
You need to be a bit more reasonable, right?
Well,
And what I demand is this.
Museum,
in the British Museum,
and that's an actual person who was.
Just a moment. There is this idols.
So it's like a picture. Like you could record and take a picture of. Imagine back them days there was no cameras. He was there.
Can you follow my example just for a moment, right?
All right.
These idols. There are stories associated with these idols.
Yeah.
Stories are God made his sculpture and a statue there, whatever, or people made them, and did wonderful things back then, right?
Yeah.
At present, if you take any of these idols from any of the museums, if you ask these idols, can you do this?
What about asking a book, can you do this? Because a book is the same thing as a picture.
Good, do that. But the answers would be what?
But any book won't do miracles.
First, you see, look. First, you're saying they would do it, then you're now
an actual person. I could build a statue of you, and 4,000 years in the future, people will say, not that you were God, but you were there, because your statue stood there of yourself. You could do it. You could put it in front of your home, and if your home stays there for 4,000 years, you just be talked about what you did.
Do you know that at one point in the past, I used to fly in the world? I used to fly all around the world and eat all these foods in different places. I used to do that, right? If I told you that, would you believe me?
I would say it's a possibility.
What evidence do you have? No, what evidence have I provided to you for this belief?
No evidence.
Right. Why do you believe me then?
I'm open-minded, so I said
that's not open-minded doesn't mean you believe in anything and everything.
So in the Hindu religion, it believes.
You know what? I created you. Why don't you believe?
Or is that a possibility?
I created you. Yeah? I created you. Now I'm telling you, worship Allah. Follow this Quran. Go on, believe it.
You need a lot more solid evidence.
Now you're being a reasonable person. You're saying, just because you say so, I'm not going to believe.
Like I said, with those statues.
No, my friend, slowly.
It's not that I believe.
Take it step by step.
But
as you realize now, when I said I created you, you realized that wasn't enough and sufficient.
Yeah.
Right? You have statues and idols in the British Museum. There are stories about these idols. These idols created the world. You're saying it's a possibility. Where is the evidence? Do you have any evidence for any of those? You don't have any evidence. These idols, if you ask them, okay, do something miraculous, they won't be able to do any of that.
Yeah, but if he just took a statue and built it of himself.
Excuse me, please.
So that statue is just someone who built of himself, but he's gone somewhere, wandering out in the universe. If he comes, then he should be. if the person comes, I believe he'll be able to perform those miracles, and that's what I believe.
At present, you are relying on stories without any evidence.
That's what that is. Stories. Many stories.
What story have I shared so far?
Hinduism.
No, everything. What story have I shared with you?
There's no facts in there that can prove.
But what I'm saying is that
It's a book. So
Alexis?
there's no solid proof, just like everything else.
You have to make up your mind. Either you follow solid facts and evidence, or you don't. Which one? Which one do you follow? You're demanding. You're demanding from the Quran solid facts. Wait, please.
Because there's no facts in it.
Are you a reasonable person?
Yeah.
Good.
Reasonable, yeah.
Good. You demanded from the Quran solid evidence and solid facts. You just did, just in a moment ago. Good. I'm quite happy for you to demand that, because that's what we want people to demand. Be consistent. For everything else, also demand solid evidence to accept something.
But part of my belief is that extraterrestrial aliens could have built this planet, or
and what is the evidence for that?
Because I don't know what's going on.
Do you have any solid evidence for those?
It's a belief, so it's not evidence.
So why don't you stick to the things which has evidence?
I'm just open-minded right now until one day the truth comes. Why?
So when I told you,
determine that truth?
I'll just be walking.
No, sorry, but how would you know? How would you come to a conclusion that this is the truth when it comes to you? Is it just something that you feel inside and it clicks?
No, I probably won't. I'll probably live up to the day I die. I will never get the truth in this life. I don't know what happens to me when I die, where I go. That's just a theory of books that I read, of Bibles. So I don't know.
Remember what you said earlier? This book doesn't have any facts. You said that, right?
It probably does have facts in there.
Probably does.
But
why don't you become sure of those
where
facts?
I go when I die, that's a theory. Does that prove it?
This book says the universe had a common origin. The earth and the whole, everything else had a common origin, was one piece. That's a fact, isn't it?
You know, other people
Earth and the universe is one piece.
never experienced that.
It says every living thing was brought from water. Isn't that a fact?
Fair enough.
Every living thing was brought from water. Nah, I don't know about that. What, we were made from water?
Brought from water. You know, 70% of you is water. Not possibly, definitely. You are 70% water already.
Yeah, we've got kind of water kind of things in us.
So there are facts after facts within this Quran. So you cannot just, you see, you have to be consistent in your approach, in discovering the truth. You have to be consistent. If you demand evidence and solid fact from the Quran, consistently demand from everything else. So
Depends what you're looking for, though.
Wait. In British Museum, those idols, what evidence do you have that those idols did all those things? You have no evidence whatsoever.
Only by the statues standing there and the stories that's written.
No, the stories are associated with the idols. That's not an evidence.
There's no evidence to that.
Yeah. So you cannot just say just because people build idols, it's a proof that the idols were real. I can now, in fact, you can build an idol today and call it God Alexis. 1,000 years later, people will say, maybe it was true. This Alexis idol created the universe. Do you see this? That is not an evidence. Anyone can build idols, and that's what people did. People within this belief system then crafted idols by their own hands, and they worship them. That is not an evidence that they are really creator, originator of this universe. So the Quran talks about there can only be one. So the example I gave you, which I want to return back to, you cannot have more than one absolute creator. In the example of like one God wants you to live for 100 years and the other one wants you to die, they cannot both will like this, independently. You found a solution, which is they have to compromise, saying, okay, fine. Even though I wanted him to live for 100 years, I'll agree with you. That's not being all-powerful God. That's being a weak God. You are being compromised by saying, okay, I make an agreement with you by compromise. That is not being all-powerful and sovereign.
Compromising is politics, though, and that's what you're meant to do.
That's not sovereignty, is it? That's not sovereignty.
It's not to be forceful.
Do you know what all-powerful means?
Yeah, just power. I mean, I've got a big nuclear bomb.
All-powerful doesn't mean power.
That means power.
No.
You got ability like a nuclear bomb to blow things up. If anybody messes with you,
that's all-powerful. All-powerful.
Even though you got that power, yeah, like a nuclear bomb in you, you negotiate and you got the understanding not to use it like crazily and just blow up the whole universe. So he's got the intellect, I believe God has. I believe God's got an intellect, even though he can destroy the whole universe, not to, and he's a bit modest.
Let me ask you a very serious question.
That's what I believe that.
Very serious question. And that will determine your line of thinking. Can this one God destroy all the other gods if he wanted to? Is he powerful enough to do that?
Yeah, Ares and all them, right? He's meant to be powerful enough. Ares and all them gods and all the other gods.
Can one God destroy every single other god?
He's meant to be that powerful, he can destroy the other gods.
Can he do that and actually implement it?
I believe he's meant to be.
So one God can destroy everything else, right?
Yeah, completely destroy everything.
So
non-existent.
That means all the other gods were not all powerful.
They're like ranked. So they're second powerful.
So you are now telling us
they're below God. God's the boss and they're below him.
Okay. I need to now really understand from you. Can there be more than one all-powerful God or not? You could, I'm just saying.
Well, he's meant to be, there's meant to be one major source. That's the story.
In your understanding, is it possible to have more than one all-powerful God?
I'm not saying it's not possible.
I'm saying it's impossible. Do you know why it's impossible?
There might be two gods that just can't kill each other.
Then they're not all-powerful then. If you cannot do something, then you don't have the power.
Well, there's no things
They're probably powerful than me. They're probably
Look, if you have one God, imagine you're the two gods, right? Yeah. If he cannot do something, is he all-powerful?
It's equal power.
All-powerful means you have all the power. No, my friend.
As much equal when you hit the rank, so you're just as powerful as each other.
Think of the definition to be given. If he is all-powerful, it means he has all the power to do whatever he wants to do.
And then another person might be all powerful. So you got two all powerful.
We'll come back to that. If he is all-powerful, right, that means if he wants to destroy everything, including the other god, he should be able to do that. That's what all-powerful means. If he cannot do it, it means he is not all-powerful. Do you follow?
Then there might be, there's someone who's very powerful out there then.
Wait, we're not talking about little powerful, more powerful, very powerful. We're talking about all-powerful.
I don't know about all power.
So, okay. So this is my question to you.
Be able to be destroyed.
Can there be more than one all-powerful? Not little powerful, some powerful. Right. So there can only be one. Exactly. Spot on. So we believe God is that being who is the all-powerful, the most powerful being. Everything else is under his authority, under his power. So you cannot call those gods, other things that are under his authority. These are his creation. He created them and he can destroy them. That's why there's only one God.
Yeah, I'll give out the books. I don't know if I'm going to read, but I'll take the leaflets.
Sure. Take that as well.
No, just the book.
Okay,
me the book.
That's it. This is the same one.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I take it back. I'm going to read it. I don't read much books right now. I'm riding my bike. I'm just going to sit there on my feet.
You can read it on the internet if you wish.
On the internet I could do it, yeah. But I'll keep the leaflets and read for that. They're smaller. That's a big book, man.
Let's think about it. So what we just did, this kind of reasonable thinking, is to show that polytheism, believing in more than one absolute God, is not a very reasonable, rational belief. That's the exercise that we have. There can only be one absolute God.
Well, mighty, all-powerful, supreme power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So imagine now, in a belief system, it says this all-powerful God had a son who is also all-powerful. then you know, now,
It's written the words wrong. That means his second purpose.
yeah, that means this belief is something.
He's ranked, then it's ranks. So that's what it's Anyway, I'm going to have a little smoke on my pipe.
Nice talking to you. Take care.
It was fun.